It's officially the 10th episode of your show, The Road to Ccfna, the official countdown show to the very first Cameroonian Cultural Festival of North America, taking place from May 29th to 31st in Washington, D.C. Yes, the heat is on. Delegations are getting ready. The funds from Cameroon already have their visas. The artists coming from all over the world, they're going to be coming from Cameroon, from Europe, from Canada, from Mexico for this very epic edition, this very epic event that's going to be taking place in just a few weeks. And we here in studio are not backing down with the quality and caliber of guests that we bring you every week. Last week, we had former goalkeeper of the Indomitable Lions, Joseph Antoine Bell, to whom we're saying hello. And today we have another amazing guest. Our theme today is navigating education as a first generation Cameroonian immigrant in America, reconnecting with your roots, impacting and giving back. And for that, we have an amazing guest who's already backstage. But before we meet our guest, welcome Yannick Kapoa, your favorite co-host of our show. Hello Yannick, how are you doing today?
Fine, Gwendoline. Good evening. Merci d'être là. Thank you very much. C'est gentil de partager toujours le plaisir avec toi en gardant le sourire. Au-delà de ta beauté naturelle, comment ne pas être connecté avec la chaleur humaine de tous les Camerounais qui nous regardent et désormais, et plus que jamais, tous les vendredis, lorsqu'il est 21h, heure de Washington, en route pour le tout premier festival culturel camerounais de la diaspora nord-américaine. Nous serons du côté de l'Université catholique de Washington, D.C., du 29 au 31 mai prochain. Tu as bien fait allusion à notre ancien guest, Joseph Antoine Bell, j'y arrive, qui a été très content d'être sur notre plateau. Il a pu nous édifier davantage, le temps de partager son expérience, mieux son expertise avec l'imagerie populaire. Et ce soir, nous déroulons notre tapis rouge à un jeune de par son âge, que dire, adulte de par son talent. C'est un opérateur économique, c'est un CEO, jadis étudiant immigré. On va certainement en dire plus dans le cadre de cette émission. Mais vous faites bien, mesdames, messieurs, de vous installer confortablement. Et c'est parti pour une belle aventure. Gwendoline.
For many of us, education was never just a choice. It was an expectation from our families, a responsibility, a promise we carried from our families and for our families. As first-generation immigrants, we were taught early, you must succeed. You must not fail. You must make it count. But what does that journey look like for you? What does it truly look like when you immigrate from Africa and come into a foreign land like America, where everything seems new and foreign? That's what our guest will be telling us about today. How he was able to leave Cameroon with his parents at the early age of 9, coming to a foreign country where he couldn't play as he wanted, where he hardly saw his mom because she had to work multiple jobs and all that just to make ends meet. But hey, he did not forget his root. He stood tall. He has achieved so much and he's giving back to the community. That's who we're having in studio today, Yannick.
Et tu fais bien de le dire, quand on parle du Cameroun, sa terre natale, pour se connecter à la réalité de l'ailleurs, on ne s'attend pas toujours à ce que tout soit souriant. À l'époque, on est jeune étudiant. Surtout, on imagine bien qu'on a rencontré des difficultés. Comment est-ce qu'on a fait pour les surmonter, entre autres défis auquel on a fait face. Et bien ce soir, il nous en dira davantage. Le temps d'étaler peut-être pas toute sa vie, mais de résumer son quotidien et de partager ce qu'il a de mieux à offrir aux jeunes qui vont certainement lui emboîter le pas. Et ça tombe bien, parce qu'il est bien installé dans son fauteuil ce soir. Et à la réalisation, c'est Alain Pierre, le réalisateur réalisé. Je suis content d'être à tes côtés, Gwendoline.
Absolutely. This is a production of the Ccfna, and we are live on Africa Today TV, on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and all platforms that you would imagine, as well as all Ccfna platforms. So go ahead, follow us, stay with us, because you might be winning some games, but also learning so much about Cameroon community and culture. So what does it mean being a first generation American, African American or immigrant? It is, the first thing is home. where culture and expectations shape you. And the second thing is school, where you adapt, you grow, and sometimes struggle a little bit. It comes with pressure, it comes with sacrifice, and it comes with unseen expectations. Drop a comment in the comment section below if you are a first generation immigrant living in America. We have our guest sitting nicely backstage. I'll just give you a little details about him, just a little brief, so that when you get to meet him, you will understand a little bit more. So Dr. Mark Juniorson is a public policy expert, federal leader, and entrepreneur. He has a doctorate in public policy from Liberty University, master's in Homeland Security Management from the University of Maryland University College, bachelor's in criminal justice from Bowie State University. He served over 8 years with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, leading initiatives in the unaccompanied minor program and collaborating with FBI and DHS. He is a founder and CEO of Bridge Research Solutions, a minority-led policy consulting firm. He is a collegiate football athlete for Bowie State University, CIAA champion 2015. He's originally from Boya, Cameroon, and he's now in the United States, impacting communities across the world, not just in the United States. Let's put out the red carpet to welcome our amazing guest who's joining us today in the studio, Dr. Mark Juniorson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome, doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Yannick.
Et c'est dit simplement, tu as bien fait de résumer un tout petit peu son CV. Il est passé par l'université du Maryland. Il a collaboré avec la CIA. Attention, ne vous fiez pas à sa corpulence. Face à vous, ne regardez pas son corps parce que bien plus que cela, il n'a que 33 ans. Attention, je tiens à le dire, c'est un jeune qui s'est distingué. Il y a plusieurs années maintenant, il fait la fierté de la jeunesse camerounaise, parti du Cameroun pour être là de manière immigrée, encore que il faut y aller de manière légale. S'il est vrai que l'immigration clandestine n'est pas conseillée, avec lui on va se balader. Gwendoline, des questions qui vont certainement lui permettre de s'ouvrir et de partager ce qu'il a de mieux de manière intrinsèque, au grand bonheur de tous ceux qui nous écoutent depuis le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest du Cameroun, car il est originaire de Boya. Tu as bien fait de le dire.
Absolutely. So we're just going to dive straight into our questions. I know you all are burning to ask him questions. He's just 33 years young, but he's achieved so much in his life, and he's just now going back, reconnecting with his Cameroonian roots. So, doctor, take us back to your early journey. What was it like navigating education as a first generation Cameroonian immigrant, freshly arriving from Cameroon at 9 years old?
Yeah, thank you. The navigation process was a little bit complex. On one hand, I was kind of ready for the challenges that were, ahead of me because, coming from a Cameroonian system where structure and morals and values were like, top of the line, and coming here, so that was not a transition curve for me. The biggest thing, obviously, the language also wasn't new. Different phrases for different people. But it was still English. I think one of the biggest transitions was just leaving that culture of family behind. Growing up in Cameroon, everybody's close knit. You turn around, your cousins right there. You turn around, your grandparents are right there. You turn around, neighbors who you consider family are right there. So transitioning from that phase of my life to coming here to the States where, fast paced, everybody's moving, everybody's working, everybody's hustling, like they say. Parents working multiple jobs just to make sure that, food's on the table. So it was a fast paced transition for me. And just adjusting to that portion of, back home, I see mom every day, and here maybe I see her for 2, 3, 4 hours. Then she has to go to bed or go to work. So that was kind of the biggest transition for me, not having that support system that we normally have when we're back home. That structure itself was different.
What was your biggest cultural shock at that time? Because as a young kid, you were just 9 years old. Everything would have looked so different. The way you speak, the way people acted, the way they treated you, the way things were done. What was the biggest culture shock for you?
I would say the biggest cultural shock was probably the I don't want to say the language difference, but just the you know the comfortability of language. I think in Cameroon we tend to like at that age you incorporate English and pidgin, and
Yeah.
the words don't really make sense to outsiders, but they make sense to you. Whereas in the States now you couldn't say certain things because people look at you weird. And obviously, hindsight that doesn't really matter because your DNA or makeup is based on where you're from, and you can't never change that. But being that young, obviously, you have that phase of feeling ashamed or embarrassed or whatever it is. So that was a different culture shock. And then the food. Food was another one where we were from fast food is not a thing. It's not a
Yeah.
thing. Home cooked meals are a thing.
Yeah.
So that was different for me having to adjust. And at that age, watching your friends, the people I made friends with here, just how they went on with their lives, how their families interacted. That was different. I always used to ask myself, like, why is it so different?
Hmm.
Obviously, the family values are different when you talk about Cameroon to an American culture. So those were the kind of the biggest cultural shocks that I had to like navigate at an early age.
Dr. Mark Juniorson, d'ailleurs, je vous invite avec le concours de Gwendoline de parcourir son CV davantage sur Google, entre autres plateformes. C'est un jeune qui fait la fierté de notre cher et beau peuple au Cameroun. Mais docteur, pour revenir avec vous, et ça tombe bien, vous arrivez aux États-Unis comme immigrant étudiant. On imagine bien qu'il y avait des défis à relever. Comment ça s'est passé? Quels sont les défis que vous avez rencontrés, docteur?
Difficulties. I'll say the first difficulty as like a first generation immigrant, educational wise, is just having to understand that it's easy to fall into the peer pressure and the ways of the new land. It's
Yes.
easy to not appreciate what you have because everybody else. It seems like everybody else doesn't appreciate it, right? Back home, school going to high level or going and achieving a high level education requires some kind of financial resource that some people are not fortunate enough to have, whereas here school is free from an early age. So I think the biggest thing was understanding that I have an opportunity to have a free education that's paid by the government and then utilize that to make something out of myself.
Hmm.
Et ça tombe bien, docteur, vous étiez jeune à l'époque, vous êtes toujours jeune d'ailleurs. Ces difficultés-là, entre autres obstacles, comment est-ce que vous avez fait pour les surmonter?
um Sorry, you might have to translate that one. Sorry.
How did you overcome some of the obstacles that you faced, especially moving into a new land and having to go to school here, taking up
Yeah.
this new form of education and process?
I think the first thing was just reminding myself of why I was here. The having a why, I think that's the biggest thing in life.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to have a why because that's what
Yeah.
drives you even through the times where you feel like giving up. So having that why, and there's just understanding that I was in a position that a lot of people would die for. A lot of people would die to be in my shoes to have the things that I have or access to the things that I have. So not taking that for granted and just staying close to my faith. I always said like stay in the word. That was something that I always, navigated through was just how can I just stay close to, whether it's religion, church, whatever it is, just to make sure that I have that backing of when things get tough, I have something to turn to give me some kind of strength.
All right.
Absolutely. Were there moments where you struggled to balance cultural expectations with your personal goals?
Yes, I think multiple moments. But the most significant one was probably trying to decide what path I wanted for myself.
Hmm.
You grew up in a Cameroon culture or you grew up in a culture where you come here and everybody talks about medicine and nursing and the sciences or becoming a lawyer. So those were like the things that, parents preach to kids. And in my head coming up, I was like, okay, I'll probably be one of those three things. I'll probably be a lawyer, a doctor, or medical doctor, not obviously doctor that I am now, but doctor, lawyer, or something else in the sciences or in the, medical field. And I think just realizing that I was in a position where I could choose for myself, which is what America does for you. It opens your minds. It allows you to be able to be selective of your future. Obviously, not do what your parents want you to do, but do what you want to do for yourself. So that cultural expectation of obviously following your parents' lead or following whatever their guidance was, and deciding what I wanted was one of the biggest things for me. So I ended up choosing something that was totally different out of the norm, something that obviously criminology, most African,
Yeah.
immigrants don't go down that field. But at that point, it made sense for me. And
Right.
that was my biggest thing was this was for me. This was my path to walk. And if I was going to succeed or fail, it would have to be on my own terms. And obviously success, failure was never an option, and success was the only option for me. So those were things that, that was one of the biggest cultural differences, I guess, culture shocks that I had to face early.
Absolutely. And so, why choosing your field of study? We noticed that looking at your parcours here, you have a really, really long parcours. You worked with the FBI and DHS. Man, just listening to that, a lot of immigrants fear. They don't even want to hear the name of those institutions. It sets panic in our hearts. How did you end up choosing this path as an
I think
immigrant?
Yeah, it's funny. I think early on I started understanding, and this like played a role into why I'm so invested in policy right now. So early on, I started understanding some of the difficulties that us immigrants faced, which is the fear of not understanding, right? The fear of not knowing what the fear of not knowing what don't understand in a way.
Yeah.
So I kind of like started understanding how the American structure works and the different federal agencies that impact the basic necessities that us as immigrants or Americans in general have the liberties of. So obviously, working with HHS and being able to partner with the FBI gave me a chance to, do two things. One, improve in people services, which is what HHS does, just navigating the people services. So when you talk about immigration, we talk about minors or adults who come here from other countries and get stuck in the borders. And, my team is involved in having to unify those minors with their sponsors, their parents here, and just how much policy goes into that. And so I felt like it was always me being on the good side of, trying to help, trying to make sure that my people know that, some of these agencies may sound scary on the outside, but
They do sound scary.
yeah, they're right. It does. But there are aspects of the agencies that make sense, that work for us, that make our lives a little bit better, and that's why policies are in place. And we need more good policies to be in place to especially, navigate things like immigration and education and healthcare, a lot of things that trouble, not just our population, but everybody around, the States.
Dr. Mark Juniorson, il est bel et bien notre guest star. Il a flirté avec les couloirs de la CIA, avec le FBI également. C'est un Américain d'origine camerounaise, vous ne rêvez pas, il n'a que 33 ans. Mais docteur, finalement, c'était quoi le rôle de la famille dans tout ça? Est-ce que la famille vous a accompagné, vous a soutenu?
Yeah, so I think he's asked about the role of family.
Yeah.
Family played a big part in who I am. Obviously, my grandparents had a big imprint of who I became or who I would become. And at that point, I didn't understand. My grandfather was, he was a lawyer back home. He's still a lawyer back home. And he was so strict on education and the morals and values and just the little things. So, growing up, I used to just think like, why was he so, like most people call it now, why was he so pressed on issues that were minimal? But then I sit back and realize that those were things that helped me navigate the future obstacles or future life that that I was building for myself. So family was always big. They were always that motivational factor for me. And even till this day, right? If I'm going through a hard time, if I'm going through something, whether it's career wise, educational wise, I always know I could rely on them and look at them and look at what they've been through in order for me to be in this position as a means or a source of extra energy, extra power, just to keep it moving. And I think that's one of the biggest, one of the things that I talked about early was the leaving family behind. And that was it's a cultural difference that most people don't talk about. It's like you have that support system and they're always there, and you come here and they may not always be there like that. So
Et on ne rêve pas, Gwendoline, on ne rêve pas parce qu'on est toujours aux États-Unis d'Amérique. Et ça tombe bien parce qu'en tant qu'immigrant camerounais à l'époque, aujourd'hui, docteur CEO, entre autres casquettes, comment est-ce qu'on rend ça à la communauté, docteur? Est-ce que vous avez l'intention de redonner à la communauté camerounaise quelque chose, de transmettre ce que vous avez reçu à des jeunes d'ici ou alors à des jeunes au Cameroun, peut-être pas seulement à Buea, votre terre natale?
How are you working on giving back to the community
Yes.
where you came from? We know that this is already a first step, being part of the Ccfna right now. That's a first step because we're getting to know you. But what are some things that you're working on currently to be able to give back to that community that literally saw you grow up?
yeah, so one of the biggest things that I obviously, as Gwendolyn mentioned, I started a policy and research firm. And one of the portions of that is having a foundation back home where I could educate young Cameroonian minds on policy, whether it's foreign policy, Cameroonian policy, American policy, just in general, because obviously most people don't realize our laws are generally formed based on policy. So just having that back home. Right now, I'm also planning on like a Christmas giveaway, whether it's a book drive, a coat and jacket drive, shoes. You know, we're in this era where everybody throws away shoes. Everybody has 1,000 shoes, but then you know, going back home in 2019 for the first time in like 20 some years, kind of like opened my eyes, gave me that experience. Like the things we take for granted on this side, people are, you know, dying to have on that side. And obviously they have those things, but some people can't afford it when you talk about, you know, the underprivileged. So that's one of the things that I'm passionate about, is just creating a foundation that, you know, is able to give back scholarships. I'm also in touch with a bunch of my classmates. I went to school in Cameroon for a couple years, so I still consider myself part of that community. So I'm in contact with a bunch of my classmates, and it was nice to reconnect with them. But one of the things I proposed was just having a scholarship fund, whether it's we pick 3 families and give them, you know, XYZ amount of money for them to, you know, during the start of the school year, for that kid to be able to afford the things that they need without the parents having to, you know, struggle or worry about where that's coming from. So those are, you know, a few things that I'm, you know, involved in. And, you know, as the years go on, as I have time now without, you know, having to navigate studies and everything, I think I'll, you know, get into that realm of, you know, giving back.
Absolutely. We're going to come back after this short break. Let's go discover our brand new promo for the Ccfna, where you're going to see more highlights on what you're going to be seeing come the festival happening in May, from May 29th to 31st. Let's go see our brand new promo, and we'll see you just behind. Our guest is still with us.
Et si la culture camerounaise traversait l'océan pour venir faire battre votre cœur encore plus fort, préparez-vous pour un événement historique, la toute première édition du Cameroonian Cultural Festival of North America, du 29 au 31 mai 2026 à Washington DC. Rendez-vous au Catholic University of America. Entrez dans un univers où tradition, modernité et unité ne font qu'un, autour du thème Cameroonian Culture and Living Together. Pendant 3 jours, vivez intensément un business forum inspirant, une soirée culturelle haute en couleurs et un concert live exceptionnel avec les légendes Saleh John. Timmy Toro. Takam 2. Prince Afo Akom.
L'ambition de notre pays, de consolider sa sécurité.
Et en spécial guest, Irma.
The smoke is thick, your clock is ticking, the talk, no tick with a
l'élégance, la classe, le charisme, réunis en une seule marque. El Dabo. De la haute couture, personnalisée en fonction des événements et de votre carte de visite. En 24 heures seulement, confectionnez vos vêtements de choix pour hommes, femmes et enfants chez El Dabo. Retrouvez El Dabo à Aquadouala, immeuble Sapeur, et à l'hôtel Crystal Palace 5 étoiles, à Bonamoussadi, à l'hôtel El Mimosa et à Yaoundé, à l'hôtel Hilton. El Dabo, l'habilleur officiel des lions indomptables. El Dabo, the spirit of fashion.
Et nous restons davantage avec Monsieur le founder of CEO de Bridge Research Solutions, qui est un jeune Camerounais d'origine américaine, bien installé désormais aux États-Unis. Il fait la fierté du vert, rouge, jaune. Il se distingue parmi tant d'autres. Et ce soir, son expertise est mise à contribution, le temps d'édifier davantage les plus jeunes et de se rapprocher de notre fraternité, parce que on n'oublie pas, le temps de le rappeler, on sera tous ensemble du 29 au 31 mai prochain du côté de l'Université catholique de Washington DC pour le tout premier festival culturel camerounais de la diaspora non américaine. Et là encore, Gwendoline sera là, ça c'est sûr.
We're definitely going to be there, as well as all the amazing guests that we had. We want to say hello to all our guests who accepted to be part of this program. Thinking about Joseph Antoine Bell, who was our guest last week. He made this program really beautiful. He was exceptional, and we want to thank him, as well as all the other guests who have been here. We will bring more amazing guests every single week as we count down to the very first Cameroonian Cultural Festival of North America. Take note. Is between May 29th to 31st. It's going to be grandiose. We'll have business forums. We'll have cultural jamborees. We're going to have football matches. And there's even going to be a tournament where the winner is going to go home with $10,000 amongst other amazing activities. So stay tuned and make sure you go out there and get your tickets. Let's continue on our interview right here. We are with our amazing guest, Dr. Mark Juniorson. He is a Cameroonian American. He moved here when he was only 9 years old, had difficulties navigating, but today he has done so much for himself, including collaborating with the FBI and DHS. He is also the founder and CEO of Bridge Research Solutions, a minority-led policy consulting firm. He says that he is ready to work with Cameroonians of goodwill, as well as his old school association, to give back to the community. So tell us, Mr. Mark Juniorson, you worked at a national level. What impact are you most proud of?
Yeah, I'm most proud of the fact that when we started our mission, there was a surplus of kids in the southern border, southern border of the United States. So obviously, you know, when migrants come from other countries, the southern border is one of the most critical spots of national security. So we had a surplus when I started this mission, and we ended up getting to a point where it was almost like zero. And this was before the border was closed. Now this was, at a point where we had to process a lot of requests. So it was a lot of work that went into it. A lot of long days in the office, but just having to get that program underway, and it was a young program, but just having to get the program underway and navigate the struggles and the policies that were in place to a point where we were able to, reunify a lot of minors, like almost 98% of the minors were reunified with their sponsors who were in the States. To me, that's a win, and a win that I could be proud of for a long time.
Absolutely. What inspired you to launch Bridge Research Solutions, and how would you rate your work to date, as well as some of the successes that you have acquired along the way?
Yeah, so the need for Bridge Research Solutions came as as I broadened my understanding of what policy actually meant for the American people, and just not the American people, but the world itself. A lot of the things that, the laws that are in place, a lot of the structures that are in place are a result of policy. And I always said Bridge Research Solution was created to bridge that gap between research and policy. So I always want to make sure that our politicians, whether state, local, or federal, have the research in place before they, pass laws, before they make decisions that affect the lives of millions. And I think we're seeing kind of an effect of that right now in society, where, some laws don't make sense. They make sense to a group of people, but they affect millions of people. So that's where the idea of Bridge Research Solutions came in. We're just trying to navigate that that gap, that research gap between what is a great policy and how does research affect great policies.
C'est un Camerounais collaborant avec le FBI, c'est pas donné. Et ça, c'est sûr, on imagine bien que vous êtes fiers de ce que vous êtes devenu aujourd'hui, et vous serez certainement fiers qu'après vous, on parle davantage de tout ce que vous aurez fait. Quel est l'héritage, finalement, que vous souhaiterez laisser après tout ce parcours-là?
I need a translation for that one too.
What do you intend to leave back? What would you like people to remember you for?
So probably my legacy would be one of, remember me as somebody who was able to build communities, somebody who was able to utilize the things that he accomplished to give back to the people that needed the most. So it's a story of giving. It's a story of just being accessible to the people, and making sure that people understand that in life, the things like, success is not measured by your own accomplishments, but by how much accomplishment your success impacts the next person. So, and that, goes back just to the years of playing football. It's like my personal success turned away from just what I did on the field to what my teammates were able to do because I did my job. So that's one thing that I want everybody to, remember me by, someone who is selfless and wants to see everybody, around succeed in their own way.
Et c'est bien de rester avec vous, docteur. Justement, à côté de nos appartenances ethniques, vous êtes sans doute fiers de ce que vous êtes devenu. Aujourd'hui, que représente le Cameroun pour vous? Parce qu'on est en route quand même pour le Ccfna, qui va réunir tous les Camerounais autour d'une même table pour parler le même langage. Est-ce que votre cœur bat encore pour le Cameroun?
You had to beat a game for Cameroon.
Yeah, for sure. Cameroon is like it's a big part of my DNA. It's my heart, technically. It's something that I can't run away from it. You can't run away from where you're from. It's part of the reason why I'm here, or why I'm doing what I'm doing. So just being able to embrace that what comes with it, what comes with being a son of Cameroon, what comes with being somebody like a diaspora who people look up to you and people look forward to you doing things to make the community proud. Something that's always in my heart. And, I like I said, I wouldn't be successful without the morals, the norms, and the blessings that I got from Cameroon. So, I'll be remiss to say Cameroon is not a big part of me.
Yeah, good.
What does it mean for you to be part of this Ccfna experience? It's the very first Cameroonian Cultural Festival that will be taking place in North America. It's going to be uniting Cameroonians from Cameroon, from America, all states of America, from Canada, from Mexico. What does it mean to you to be part of such an initiative?
Yeah, it almost means the world to me. I mean, it's a proud feeling. When I got the invite, it was something that I talk about it till this day. It was just like, that full circle moment of like, what, you've gone through the ringer and you've gone through this process of attaining higher education, and your people see you and your people recognize you, and they want you to come back and give back and not forget about them. So it was huge, and it was just basically something that made my heart warm, made me understand that life is bigger than again, just myself, right? I have a whole community behind me. I have a whole nation behind me, and we, as the sons and daughters of Cameroon, who were fortunate enough to leave the place, have to be willing to make it a better place for the next generation who may not have the same opportunities that we have. It should be no reason that we're living a life here and people are living a certain life back home, that we have the resources to make their lives a little bit better. So, but it's a great accomplishment, great feeling, and it's my pleasure to be a part of the festival.
Absolutely, Yannick.
Dr. Marc, il ne part pas. Le temps de rappeler quand même pour ceux qui nous retrouvent à l'instant, vous êtes bel et bien dans le cadre de votre production en route pour le tout premier festival culturel camerounais qui se tiendra du 29 au 31 mai prochain du côté de l'Université catholique de Washington DC. Une forte délégation, si l'on s'en tient à la bande-annonce récente, en partance du Cameroun, va certainement nous retrouver dès le jeudi 27 mai ici à Washington. Ils sont nombreux les Camerounais qui partiront du Canada, du Mexique, entre autres délégations en provenance des États, ici même aux États-Unis d'Amérique. C'est dire qu'on sera content de se retrouver pour parler le même langage, autour du même table, et ne garder que de beaux souvenirs et repartir à la maison, sans doute, avec le sourire aux lèvres. Gwendoline.
So if you have not gotten your ticket yet, get ready right now, because we have tickets that go for $300, $200, and $100. But
Exactly.
If you want to also win a ticket, it's possible, because we also have our 1 minute traditional video invite challenge that's still on. Our first winner goes home with $300 and 1 free ticket to the festival. The second winner is $200 and 1 free ticket to the festival. And the third, $100 and 1 free ticket to the festival. Let's go watch how you can purchase your ticket, and we will see you right here in studio as we conclude with our guest.
Welcome to the Cameroonian Cultural Festival of North America official website. To access the site, open your browser, go to the search bar, and type Ccfna.org. You'll be redirected automatically to the homepage, where you can find key information, including featured content and, most importantly, the event venue address. From there, you can explore the website using the top menu. You'll see sections such as About Us, Business Forum, Core Objectives, Store, and Get Involved. At the top of the menu, you'll also find Book Your Seat for the event. Clicking that button will take you directly to the ticket purchase page, where you'll complete the required information to purchase your ticket online. Visit the official website of the Cameroonian Cultural Festival of North America today at ccfna.org.
De retour dans le cadre de cette production en compagnie de Dr. Marc Danielson, qui, rappelons-le, a été champion du football américain dans son école. Le temps de rappeler quand même que, à côté de ses capacités intellectuelles, c'est également un très bon sportif. Et ça tombe bien. À l'idée de savoir que vous pouvez davantage participer au challenge qui vous donnera droit à des tickets gratuits et à quelques dollars quand même. Le premier aura $300 avec un ticket gratuit. Le deuxième aura $200 avec un ticket gratuit. Le troisième aura $100 avec un ticket gratuit. Il vous suffira simplement de produire une vidéo en 1 minute dans le cadre d'un challenge, surtout en langue maternelle, le temps de valoriser le Cameroun profond. Et nous revenons sur ce plateau avec le docteur. J'ai envie de lui demander, puisqu'on parle du Cameroun, docteur, entre autres atouts que nous avons également des atouts culinaires. Nous savons cuisiner au Cameroun. Qu'est-ce que vous aimez manger? Hein?
Le héros.
Arrow.
Yeah.
Can you cook
I
it?
like.
I can't cook it. I still,
You gotta learn, bro.
yeah, my mom got to cook it for me, but Eru, yeah, wata fufu and Eru, yes, for sure.
What are some other meals that you know? What are some other Cameroonian dishes that you know?
Achu, of course. Kwako Bible. Kwako soup. I mean, the list goes on. Egusi pudding is probably my second favorite of all time. But yeah, Cameroonian food is still a big part of my heart. Never lost that, that taste for it. Maybe the few years of like undergrad where I was playing college football and I was like away from home. But apart from that, still always, kept up with Cameroonian culture in regards to food.
Yeah.
There's something that people always say.
Pour bien travailler, il faut bien manger. J'ai failli dire la bonne nourriture de chez nous. On peut comprendre pourquoi il a une bonne mine. Il est très bien là et malgré les frontières entre le Cameroun et ici, il ne s'est pas déconnecté de sa racine, surtout sur le plan culinaire, bien évidemment.
They always say, feed the body that works the money. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially the good food.
Yeah, you got to, and it's nothing like Cameroonian food, a fresh, natural, no enhancements, like I always say. I always tell my friends, like, you haven't eaten good food unless you have Cameroonian food.
That's a good one. So what are some meals that you look forward to eating at the Cameroonian Culture Festival? Because we're going to have a whole food gastronomy display out there. What are you looking forward to eating?
Something light. So I don't know. I mean,
maybe pepper soup.
Yeah, pepper soup for sure. You got to after a long day, regardless of if it's hot or cold, pepper soup sounds good. So something light, something that I can still be able to do what I need to do. But I'm definitely looking forward to the variety of food that's there for the guests, because it's nothing like Cameroonian food.
Tell me, do you remember any words in Pidgin or your traditional language from Cameroon, or have you forgotten everything?
Funny. I'll tell you a story.
Tell me.
So I think I was like 5, 6. And my grandfather used to, he kind of hated for us to speak Pidgin at home. And so I was just learning English. Obviously, Pidgin was just something out here. The adults speak it. Almost one of those things, right? Only adults kind of spoke Pidgin in a way. So they'll speak, and I'll just like listen and not understand what they're saying. And to this day, it's almost kind of the same. But I think one day, and they told me this story, so I can't remember like the details. But today, one day, I ended up going to our neighbor's house. Funny, I went to our neighbor's house and they were cooking some kind of meat. And in my head, I was like, I don't know what that is, but I had heard the word ground beef before.
Ground beef.
So I ended up going there and I'm like,
yeah,
right. I'm just talking to them and I turned around and I said, "Una di chop ground beef today." And they just laughed. I mean, like, it was one of those things where like everybody just went off, and I, to this day, like they'll tell me that story, and I was fortunate enough to go back and people remind me of that story, and I'm just like, honestly, I don't remember it, but it sounds like something that I would have said at that time, just because I didn't know, what I was saying. But
so when you went back in 2019, did you actually eat some ground beef?
Oh no, I didn't eat beef. Nah, I didn't eat it. I had a lot of soya, a lot of different like snails, a lot of different things, but ground beef, I didn't have it.
Okay.
Et ça tombe bien. Il y aura de la bonne nourriture au Ccfna, la toute première édition du 29 au 31 mai prochain. Mais il y aura également de la bonne musique. You like the music, doctor?
Yeah.
Chabona, Manu Dibango.
Yeah, Manu Dibango for sure. I grew up, my grandparents playing that. Koto Bass.
So
those,
you like Makossa?
Yeah, Makossa for sure. Yeah. a current artist that I always listen to is Kosi. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm big on Kosi's music. So yeah, Cameroonian music is also amazing. If you haven't listened to it, I advise you to go check it out. There's a lot of talent out there.
Gwendoline n'est pas déconnecté de la réalité. Hein. Il aime la bonne nourriture, il aime la bonne musique. Entre ancienne et nouvelle génération, il permet aux jeunes de se retrouver, simplement.
Absolutely. And it's definitely going to be an opportunity for you to reconnect to your roots, to your community, to your old classmates, if you're joining us for the very first Cameroonian Cultural Festival of North America, taking place from May 29 to 31st. No matter how far we go, our roots call us back. Because it's our identity, it's our culture, it's our origin, and success means more when it's connected to where we come from and where we're going to all together. We're still here with our guest, wrapping up slowly, but reminding you the Ccfna is where education meets culture, success meets identity, and stories like this are shared. It is a space to connect, to grow, and to be inspired. Now, before we continue, I'd like to talk to you about our question of the week. What is one lesson your educational journey has taught you? Share your answers below and let us know. Go to all of our platforms at ACCFNA on Facebook, YouTube. Drop your comments and the winner will go home with a free ticket. I'll repeat that question. What is one lesson your educational journey has taught you? Send your answers to ACCFNA or just go to our Facebook page and respond to the question of the week, and the winner will go home with one free ticket to be part of this phenomenal festival.
Tu fais bien de le dire, Gwendoline. N'hésitez pas, suivez-nous sur nos différentes plateformes digitales, mais surtout sur la page officielle du Ccfna. C'est sur Facebook, c'est sur YouTube. Vous pouvez interagir et nous suivre davantage sur toutes les plateformes de Afrique Today, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn et YouTube également pour suivre vos émissions en continu. N'hésitez pas, achetez vos billets. On se rapproche un peu plus de l'objectif dans moins de 2 mois maintenant. J'ai failli dire dans moins d'1 mois. Ah oui, il faut être précis parce que dès le 26 du mois prochain, les délégations vont commencer à atterrir du côté de Dulles, l'aéroport par Washington. Et donc, il faudra bien être là pour vivre ça. Achetez vos tickets, faites des réservations online comme en présentiel. Mettez à la maison et attendez simplement le jour. Dites-vous bien que là-bas, vous n'allez pas vous ennuyer, ça c'est sûr. C'est une toute première. Et on a bien l'intention de faire d'un coup d'essai un coup de maître. Gwendoline.
Absolutely. And before we go, I'd like to ask our guests, what are your last words for the Cameroonian youth and for those first generation immigrants who are just moving here for the first time?
Yeah, I'll say that the biggest thing is just, set your standards high. And work for it. Just a brief story to end it up. I was going back on my Facebook from a couple years ago. It was a post from 2015 when I graduated undergrad, and I spoke about having accomplished degree 1 out of 3. And at that moment, I didn't understand, what I was doing. But looking at it now, it just showed me that I had the ability to set my goals and achieve my goals regardless of how long it took. I was, fortunate enough to have that opportunity. So, the biggest thing, especially for the Cameroonians, the young Cameroonians that come here at a young age, or the ones that are born here regardless, just, set your goals high and understand that you have so much at your disposal that you're not going to have back home. And it's only, it's on you to make sure that you utilize the things that are at your disposal to make your life better, to make you a impactful member of community, and to make sure that you're doing the right things. Because if you don't do it, no one else will do it. No one else will motivate you, and it's so easy to fall into the peer pressures of society here. And regardless of if your parents are on you or not, it's super easy. So just stay grounded to your morals and beliefs, and trust family, listen to your parents. I know it sounds cliche, but they kind of know what's better for you, and just keep family close.
Absolutely. Yannick.
Et c'est bien de le dire. Comment ne pas avoir un petit pincement au cœur parce que bientôt on va prendre congé de notre invité dans le cadre de cette production. On aurait bien voulu l'écouter davantage, lui qui est jeune mais alors dynamique de par ses actions. Il est parti de son Cameroun, sa terre natale, comme immigrant, mais alors comme étudiant. Il a pu s'intégrer, il a pu surmonter les difficultés, entre autres défis auxquels il faisait face à cette époque-là. Et aujourd'hui, il est plutôt bien intégré. C'est donc un modèle de la jeunesse. Et quand on sait qu'on parlera le langage des jeunes, également dans le cadre du tout premier festival culturel camerounais du côté de Washington DC, eh bien, les jeunes sont donc attendus. N'hésitez pas, prenez vos billets, venez vous abreuver, venez partager et bénéficier surtout des expériences et des aînés. Tu parlais tout à l'heure, un peu plus tôt, Gwendoline, de Joseph-Antoine Bell, qu'on a reçu la semaine dernière. Et comment ne pas être fier d'avoir des aînés comme ça, encore vivants. On va davantage prier qu'ils soient encore plus nombreux pour inspirer davantage les jeunes comme Dr Marc et pas seulement. C'est dire que c'est le Cameroun finalement qui sortira gagnant de tout cela. Et nous serons là-bas pour vivre ça.
Absolutely, we had amazing guests. We had Joseph Antoine Bell last week. We had Dr. Mimi Kwipo, who actually connected us with Dr. Mark Juniorson, our amazing founder, Mr. Christophe Tapa, and his wife, his beautiful wife, Alice Tapa. Her foundation is actually the official sponsor of the CCFNA. Hopefully, more business owners will be joining the sponsorship reigns from next year, because this is going to be a festival that will happen every single year, hopefully. I want to say hello to Esomba Sebastian and all other guests that we've had here on the show. We are so grateful that you took out the time to come out here and share your knowledge as well as your know-how. I want to say thank you to our amazing guest today, Dr. Mark Juniorson. Thank you so much. Can't wait to eat your eru. You better go start learning.
Thank you very much, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
God bless.
Thank you. As we conclude on here, education is not just about degrees. It's about growth. It's about identity. It's about purpose. For first-time generation immigrants, it transforms sacrifice into legacy. And this is Cameroon. We don't stay behind. We lead at the forefront. Here, we learn, we grow, and we give back to community, and we work together. That's what we're doing right here, and we'll continue to do that as we count down to the very first Cameroonian Cultural Festival of North America. We love you. Thank you for staying with us, Yannick. Always a pleasure sharing the stage with you. Alain, le réalisateur réalisé. We love you. We appreciate the work that you do. Go follow us on all platforms, and we're live on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and more. Take care. See you next week at the same time for yet another powerful but impactful edition of The Road to CCFNA. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.